Hello all and welcome to the official FanTeam podcast brought to you by FanTeam, the biggest daily fantasy site in Europe. My name is Andrew and today I am joined by one of the best fantasy managers of all time, 3 times top 500 Fantasy Premier League finisher, Mark McGettigan, aka FPL General. Happy New Year, Mark. How was your break?
Happy New Year. It was a mad December. It was nice to have a couple of days breather there for the last couple of days, but we're certainly back with a bang now today with these fixture changes and injuries and all the rest. So, yeah, the break was good, but ready to go now for this tournament in Gameweek 18.
Cool. And with all the rearrangements, postponements, COVID issues and stuff, it's proving very, very difficult because we picked our team an hour or two ago, but since then there's been some news about rearranged games, which we'll touch on now. But how are you finding it, kind of having to react to all the differing kind of news and things that's coming through? It seems to be on like an hourly basis at the moment.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's been day by day for quite a while now, and even today it's gone to hour by hour. Like you said, we picked our teams, spent a few hours this morning, and those plans kind of go out the window very quickly. So yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, but to be honest, I think it's good for FPL managers. You just got to embrace the chaos, and I think with chaos, there's always opportunity for the more tuned in managers. So hopefully we can get the edge.
I completely agree with that. And how was your fantasy season going, Mark? I know in FPL you're having a decent one, aren't you?
Yeah, FPL is going very well. 14k at the moment, so hopefully I can push on. Top 10k finish would be nice, but obviously top 1k is probably the target now from this point. One of my teams in the season long FanTeam is doing well. I think I had 5 entries. 4 of them are really struggling, but I do have hope with one of them. I think it's in the top 400, so hopefully that one can push on as well.
Very nice, well done, mate. So for our YouTube watchers, please remember to click the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and to press the like button if you enjoy our content. So our feature tournament for this podcast and video is the Gameweek 18 Weekly Monster, which has a prize pool this week of €50,000, and we will be running through the game week's applicable fixtures and sharing our entries. So our watchers and listeners are aware what it is. It's very similar to the free hit chip in Fantasy Premier League, where you basically pick the best 11 players for the game week that you think will score the most points. So very briefly, the key rules: you build a squad of 11 players. You must include at least 1 goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 2 midfielders and a forward. You can select up to a maximum of 3 players from any one team. The contest is just for Game Week 18. You have a budget of 105 million to build your 11-man team. You can make unlimited changes until the deadline, which is Tuesday, January the 12th at 6 p.m. GMT. You pick a captain who scores double points. If your captain doesn't start the game, you get your vice captain who will get double points, and there's a safety net which applies. So if one of your player does not start, he will be replaced automatically by a cheaper player from the same club and position. So for those watching on YouTube, the point score matrix is on screen. As you can see, it's very similar to the season-long FanTeam game and indeed the Fantasy Premier League game. Mark, how have you enjoyed playing FanTeam this season alongside FPL? Have you found it very similar and kind of easy to play?
Yeah, I think it's a great game to go alongside FPL because, I mean, I spend all week looking at my FPL team anyway, looking at the stats, looking at the fixtures for the weekend. So it's quite easy then on a Friday night or a Saturday morning to just jump in FanTeam and put a team or two together. The thing I like most is you can go in there and the players that you're fearing in FPL that you don't own, you stick them into your FanTeam, and hopefully if they do hurt you in FPL wise, they can win you a few bob at the weekend.
Completely agree. So there are 3 full-round classic tournaments every game week. One has a prize pool of €10,000, which you can enter for as little as €2. There's a high roller tournament if you want to play for big money. But our feature tournament for this podcast is the €50,000 guaranteed prize pool game with a guaranteed €5,000 first prize for just a €20 entry. The teams we pick can be used across all weekly monster tournaments. Just a reminder to enter all FanTeam contests. You must be over 18 and be gambleaway.org. For UK-based FanTeam players, you will now see that you also have an option to deposit, play and withdraw with pounds sterling rather than in euros if you so choose. Okay, so on to the game week fixtures, and it's been a bit of a strange game week because there has been a last-minute change to the fixture list. So for those who haven't seen it, Aston Villa versus Tottenham has been postponed due to the COVID outbreak in the Aston Villa camp. and that match has been replaced at very short notice with Tottenham now hosting Fulham. So this gives the game week a completely different feel for me anyway, on kind of how it looked before. I think Spurs away to Villa was a tough game, and I wouldn't have expected much, from the attack and defence. Obviously, being home to Fulham, with Fulham not preparing to have a game at all, has given the kind of week to sort of feel. But just to run through the fixtures for this game week. So, firstly, it's Sheffield United versus Newcastle. We then have Wolves versus Everton. We've then got Burnley against Man United, Manchester City at home to Brighton, which I'm sure we'll be targeting. Spurs and Fulham, as I just mentioned, and then Arsenal and Crystal Palace, a resurgent Arsenal against the Palace on Thursday evening. So, Mark, look at these fixtures. Which ones look good to you, and which you're going to be targeting?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm on my free hit in FPL as well. So I was looking at these fixtures and thinking, great, I'll just pick a very similar team in FPL free hit as I will in FanTeam. But we know it's not that straightforward with the individual weekly prices on FanTeam. So I found it actually probably the most challenging week so far to pick a FanTeam 11 for this. So the fixture wise, Man City I think is the standout at home to Brighton. It's just how many of their big hitters can you fit in. Manchester United I think against Burnley is a good fixture as well. And Arsenal, they've hit form just at the right time for people playing free hit. And I think they're very good for this FanTeam tournament as well. So, and again, Spurs, just today, that's another really good fixture thrown into the mix. So even though there's only 6 games, I think there's probably 4 really good fixtures for the bigger teams there. So it should be a very interesting contest.
What are your thoughts on Newcastle away to Sheffield United?
I think I'll be having a nap from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Tuesday.
Are you expecting
I'll wake up for the Man United game then. 0-0 written all over that one, I would have thought.
Really?
Possibly, yeah. I don't think I've got any attackers. I may have put Callum Wilson in, but I'm not really. He may leave before the deadline. So yeah, that's definitely the least exciting game. It's good to have it first, get it out of the way. But in terms of FanTeam, I'll be going after a few clean sheets in that one.
Yeah. I may be a touch more excited about Newcastle against Sheffield United. I think the thing with Sheffield United, obviously, the bottom of the league, they've been awful, but they haven't been conceding that many goals per game. So I've currently got Wilson in my team, but the fact that you said you think he maybe be a bit of a snooze fest means I may potentially look elsewhere, but I'll have a look at that. Wolves and Everton. So some other news breaking this afternoon is Dominic Calvert-Lewin has pulled his hamstring. He's got an issue, so he's going to miss this game against Wolves. We don't know how long he's out for. Also, Richarlison has potentially got an issue as well. Do you think that kind of heightens the appeal of Wolves players at all, Mark?
Yeah, probably their defenders. If Calvert-Lewin's definitely out, Richarlison is a doubt as well. Definitely weakens the Everton attack. But at the same time, I think it's about 10 games in the league. Wolves haven't kept a clean sheet. Nuno's been chopping and changing a lot there. Yeah. They're a team in transition this season. So I think that's probably the hardest game to call of the game week, which I think I've went for a couple of Everton players just to be slightly different, possibly from the rest of the pack in this one. But I'm not overly confident about Everton in that one. I think it's a really tricky one to call that.
Okay, and Burnley, Man United. People are very hot on Man United way to Burnley, but I see Burnley, as quite tight and compact. Nick Pope, obviously, a really good keeper between the sticks. Being a Man United fan, what you kind of expect in that game?
Yeah, I expect a win for United, but I don't expect a big win. I think no matter which team go and play at Turf Moor, I always expect Burnley to give them a tough game, and you never get an easy 3 points there. So I think looking at the fixtures, I much prefer the Man City guys and the Spurs guys rather than the Manchester United attackers for this week.
Okay, and then finally Arsenal, we've mentioned they seem to have turned the corner both in attack and defence. There's a couple of players in particular, who are, so I think Lacazette has scored 4 in his last 4 in his last 5, and Saka just looks an incredible player at the moment. He's had the third most shots in the box out of all Premier League players last 4 game weeks, which I was quite surprised to see, but quite excited to see. But he's actually been priced probably very fairly by FanTeam. He's quite expensive, and I know what you mean because I was having a look earlier. I found it so hard to pick a team. But I think it's because 4 of the 6 games have probably kind of plum ties where the United, City, Spurs, and Arsenal players are priced very fairly but quite high, and that's why it's hard to try and squeeze everyone in. So going on to your actual team there, Mark, I've got it now on screen. Would you mind running through it for our podcast listeners and giving us your thoughts?
Yeah, so like you said, it's been a very interesting day, and things have changed once we talked about our teams this morning. So this is very much a first draft, subject to change. So I mentioned the Newcastle Sheffield United game. I'm hoping for a 0-0 in that one, possibly. So Wilson is in this team, but he may come out of it for that reason, because I do think it could be a 0-0 draw. So gone for Darlow in goal again. Since I've made that team this morning, there's been comments from Bruce that he's got a decision to make on his goalkeepers now, because Dubravka reminded him of what he can do at the weekend. So again, probably not a good idea for me to go Darlow. Although I should check Dubravka's price, because if Dubravka's price is less than Darlow, I would get him anyway, regardless of which goalkeeper starts. So defenders, then I've gone for Yedlin. I think he offers an attacking threat as well as the clean sheet potential. He's been pretty good in recent weeks. He seems pretty nailed on now. And then the two City guys, Cancelo and Diaz, I'm going to have both of those in my FPL free hit as well. So I like just putting them both in for this one. And Lucas Dean, possibly a bit of a differential. Again, banking on Wolves not scoring in that one. And Lucas Dean hopefully picking up a few attacking returns. So he may be under the radar a little bit because he's just back.
I suppose in terms of Calvert-Lewin, etc., not being there, I think it does dent his kind of attacking appeal a little bit, don't it? Because he's going to be aiming for for a different quality of player rather than Calvert-Lewin, who as we know can leap like a salmon, as he has a couple of times this season and head them in. But yeah, I think he's a really good option. He's a fantastic player, and he I think he goes under the radar a lot because he plays for Everton personally. But
yeah, and quite often in FanTeam he's very expensive, but he's actually at 7.7. He's quite affordable this week. So it's not often you get him at that price. So into midfield then, Kevin De Bruyne, I think he's the most expensive pick this week, but probably the first name on the team sheet. Yeah. He'll be my FPL captain, and he'll be my FanTeam captain as well. I just expect City to smash Brighton. So, if De Bruyne is on the pitch, he should be involved in that. I've got an Everton triple up. I've got Rodriguez in midfield as well. Again, possibly slightly under the radar, having just come back from injury. Should improve things for Everton. Love him as a player. I don't have him in FPL, so it's nice to put him in here and be able to enjoy that Wolves game then with him in this fan team. And Zaha, going against the grain a little bit, so I don't have any Arsenal players here. I'm going to have a triple up in FPL of Arsenal players, but they're very hard to afford in this fan team. Saka, like you said, one of the first names on my FPL team this week, but I'm just priced out of him with a squad. So I'm going to go against the grain and go for Zaha. And, if he wipes out the Arsenal clean sheet, if Palace wipe out the clean sheet, it's likely to be Zaha. Up front then, Callum Wilson, who I mentioned, that spot may change if I think Sheffield United is going to be 0-0. Doesn't make sense to have Wilson in there. Richarlison, he has a slight doubt, so again, maybe he might leave before the deadline as well. And Rashford, I'm pretty sure Rashford will stay. I would have liked Bruno Fernandes in midfield, but again, prices, it's very hard to fit all these big guys in. So I like Rashford in that Burnley fixture. So I think he'll be my vice captain.
Really nice team there, Mark. You've got, heavy at the back, Cancelo and Diaz. I would love to be able to afford them because I've probably got a couple of players you really want. I've had to make the sacrifices at the back, but we'll just look at my team now. So I've gone for Sanchez of Brighton in goal. So I've been doing this every single week. I've been going for the cheapest keeper who's likely to face the most shots. Because in FanTeam, obviously the scoring lends itself to each save made. So while I expect Sanchez to concede 3 goals, 4 goals, maybe 5 goals, for example, I also expect him to make a load of saves as well. So I think kind of evens out there, and it helps with the budget. Then I've also gone for Yedlin at the back. I think you mentioned already his attributes are really good. He got forward. I've doubled up them with Kieran Clark, who's had quite a lot of attacking intent for Newcastle in recent weeks. Without much luck there. And I've also gone for Luca Dean as well at 7.7 million. Completely agree with you. I think he's a really good pick. Wolves have looked a bit blunt Blunt up front, so I've gone from there. And my final defender, so I've gone for Roman Saiss, who will be playing at home against an Everton team. So Wolves' defensive stats at home are far superior at home than they are away. Not expecting that one to be high scoring at all. So Saiss has scored a goal or two, I think, as well in the last few games. Seems to be back in the side, playing well, attacking intent, and at 7.9. Again, I think he's quite cheap. I would love to be able to upgrade to a defender from like City, for example, as you say, because I think they're going to be really good value. And how Cancelo hasn't had an attacking return in the last month or two has been absolutely beyond me. It's been so unfortunate. Gone for a midfield three. Completely agree with you on Kevin De Bruyne. Nailed on captain in every format for me. I have gone for Bruno Fernandes. And then I've gone for Zaha as well. So I agree with you that I'm not sure the Arsenal clean sheet is as nailed on as a lot reckon. Zaha is on penalties, superb footballer, and as you say, if they do score, he tends to be involved, and he's playing as a striker as well. So for 7 million, I think I completely agree with you. I think he's really good value. I have gone for Wilson, but I may change it just off the back of what you said. I may look to change it up and maybe downgrade Wilson and potentially even go for a 5-3-2 if I can kind of work it out in terms of getting a Man City defender in. But my strikers are different, so I have gone expensive up front. So I've gone for Lacazette. Looks in really good form, focal point of the attack. Everyone around him is playing really well as well. So I think he's a really good option this week. And I didn't have him, but I have now that the fixtures have changed. I've gone for Harry Kane. So I think that Fulham, a completely different prospect to Aston Villa. I wouldn't have had Kane against Villa. I do think against Fulham, he got rested on the weekend, obviously, when Spurs played Marine in the FA Cup. I think it's the kind of game that'll suit Kane because Spurs, I think, are going to, they're not going to sit back against Fulham, are they? They're going to press them, you would get, especially at home. I think I think it suits Kane, but I may have a switch around, as we've mentioned, with Wilson. I think you talked me out of him in my free hit in FPL as well.
Well, he's caused us so much pain in the past anyway, so it's a bit like Ramsdale crossed my mind for this, given that I think, even though I think Sheffield United, Newcastle could be 0-0, I still can't bring myself to buy Ramsdale after the pain he caused me this season. But looking at your team, I think something I need to do when I rejig is I need a Spurs player. I think I need at least one of Kane or Son. Like you say, I think that Fulham fixture is so much better than the Aston Villa one that we thought we were going to get. So, yeah, if I could somehow turn Wilson into Kane, I think I'll probably try and do that tonight.
And FanTeam have managed to change it around very, very quickly. So the game postponement and rescheduling was announced about 2 or 3 hours ago, and FanTeam have immediately got on the ball. They've changed it and they've revised the player prices accordingly, so you can go on anytime from now and choose your team for game week 18. Any other players at all might kind of interest you? Apart from Kane or Son, is anyone else you try to squeeze in and couldn't, or anywhere on the edges?
Yeah, I think it's Arsenal attackers. I like the look of Lacazette in your lineup. I think that is something that's missing from mine as well. Now I've got Zaha, so I'm going to avoid Arsenal defenders, but I would like to fit in someone, whether it be Lacazette, Saka, even the young guy Smith Rowe. But again, he's obviously a lot more expensive in this one than he is in FPL. So yeah, good chance you'll see an Arsenal player in my lineup by the time the deadline comes.
Yeah, and I think if Arsenal do keep a clean sheet, then Kieran Tierney is an absolutely fantastic form. Obviously, he is a bit expensive in this format now, but if he is, he's been a lucky old he's been unfortunate all season. I've owned him in a few fantasy formats, so I've kept more of an eye on him maybe than I have other players. But the amount of times he puts in really good crosses, and Aubameyang, and Lacazette have been wasteful of his really good crosses. But anyone who's kind of held on to him being rewarded now, and he looks sensational both in attack and defense.
Really, really good player. Yeah, he's in my FPL free hit. It's going to be Tierney, Saka, and Yeah, probably just two of them actually. Lacazette was going to be there, but I think Kane will probably take that spot now.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much. So we've managed to squeeze it in before the deadline, Mark. Thank you so much. So we did actually start recording this a few hours ago, and as we started to record, the fixture postponement was announced. So we've kind of jumped off and jumped back on again. But we wanted to make sure that we got one out well before the deadline, so everyone could take a look at our teams and choose their teams ahead of the deadline. All the links are below for all the games we have discussed today. So thank you so much, Mark, for joining me this week. We'll hopefully have you on again very soon, and best of luck for the game week, Mark.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good luck to yourself and good luck to everyone taking part this weekend. I hope to see a few familiar names at the top of the leaderboard.
Indeed. So remember that if you liked what you watched, please press the like button and remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And if you're listening on a podcast version, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. It will be available as a video on the FanTeam YouTube channel and available as an audio podcast on all major podcast libraries, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Just search for Official FanTeam Podcast from wherever you get your podcasts. Our website is fanteam.com. And our Twitter handles are at FanTeamOfficial and at FanTeam_UK. Give us a follow for regular game updates and for entry giveaways for lots of other FanTeam competitions. We will be back later in the week. Looking forward to the Game Week 19 Weekly Monster. The very, very best of luck for Game Week 18. Goodbye for now.